Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of TAYtalks. Today I'm with Madeline Sharp and we're going to be talking about mental health disorders, and the stigmas behind them. So I know you gave me a brief overview of what you're diagnosed with, but for the viewers out there, can you give us a brief overview?
Yeah, so I've been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, panic disorder, but mainly what we're going to talk about today is I want to talk about my bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder.
Okay, so for the viewers out there, what is bipolar disorder and what is borderline personality disorder?
Yeah, it's very hard to say. The two get caught up in your tongue. But borderline personality disorder, it looks different in everyone, so it's hard to pinpoint what it is.
Right.
For me, it's about basically a roller coaster of emotions throughout a day.
Okay.
Throughout a small, short time period. So for me, that could mean I wake up feeling very, very happy, and then all of a sudden I'm instantly crying, and I have no idea why.
Okay.
And then 2 minutes later, again, I'm anxious or bored or whatever it is. It's just like I feel like I'm on this roller coaster and I can't really get off. So borderline personality disorder is basically that. So a lot of emotions throughout the day.
Okay.
Mixed with mania, which is like hyperactive, and depression. What bipolar disorder is the same for me. It's the same, but it's throughout a long amount of time.
Okay.
So for me, it's I will get really hyper, like have the mania episode, and maybe that will last for like 4 hours into the nighttime, and I won't be able to sleep, or I'll fall asleep and then wake up at like 3 a.m. and be like super hyper, like do all my homework, like get I feel like I need to paint my room. One time I painted my whole ceiling in the middle of the night. Like it's like you have this so much energy and then you crash.
Okay.
So then it depends, for everyone it's different. So for some people their mania lasts longer, it can last a couple months. But usually the longer your mania episode lasts, then the longer your depression lasts.
So let's back it up then. Growing up, did you have any symptoms? How was high school? How was, middle school? All of that. Let's back it up.
Yeah, so I actually started seeing a therapist when I was in 3rd grade. Okay. So I've had about 15 therapists throughout my whole life, if not more. There's always been symptoms of bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. The therapist and the doctors just thought I was a hypersensitive kid and wasn't good with stimulation. Okay. So going to school, I remember coming home every single day, oh my gosh, up until 3rd grade, I would come home and just lose it after school. I would keep myself together in school and then just lose it after school. I would throw temper tantrums when I was little, to the point where my dad had to keep me contained in my room because he didn't want my brothers to see. And that's kind of how it was in middle school and high school as well. I wouldn't lose it when I got home because obviously I was grown up and but I would come home and just be so drained because I was so on all the time. I think if you knew me in high school, I always felt like I had to have an act and a face, like a mask on my face. I really wasn't diagnosed with bipolar disorder until my junior year of high school. Okay. And borderline personality disorder, I actually just got diagnosed with that about a month and a half ago. They thought it was just depression and anxiety. If you have bipolar disorder and you are on a depression medication,
it's not gonna work.
It makes it worse.
Oh.
So I was on a ton of different depression medications to try to cure my depression, when really that's not what they were trying to target at all in my
So were you what in the world is happening?
I was out of my mind every single day because I didn't feel like myself. There were a lot of days, to be honest, where it was hard getting out of bed. And it was hard, to get on my clothes, to brush my teeth, to get myself to go to school. I missed quite a bunch of school. I knew there was something wrong when I wasn't getting better. And a potential therapist, doctor, psychiatrist, a whole mixture of things, mentioned that I have bipolar disorder. The new diagnosis makes everything in my past just make sense.
So now you feel like you have a good pinpoint of the 2 things that you're diagnosed with.
Right.
And then so what are the coping mechanisms with that? What's the medication that is good to be on?
Yeah. So there's tons of medications that help with it. You have to find the right one. So go to your psychiatrist if you're struggling, and they'll
Right.
help you find the right one. It took me a lot of tests and trials and to get on the right dose and right medication, but luckily I'm on a good mix of them now.
Mm-hmm.
You need sleep. Like, a sleep routine is so critical for bipolar disorder and people with borderline personality disorder. I'm still in therapy. I go to my psychiatrist. I then have learned a lot of tools that help me self-soothe, so when I am in an episode or when I am feeling down or whatever, I can pull myself out of it without going into crisis.
Right.
So what I do is I love reading, I love journaling, I love blogging, like just typing up on my computer, getting it all out. I do all that, and that helps sometimes.
Okay, so for someone who isn't diagnosed with bipolar disorder or borderline, but like has similar symptoms to what you had growing up and have now, what would you recommend them do?
Yeah, I would say research it, and by that I don't mean WebMD. That would be really that's self-diagnosing, and I did that. I did that, and it
probably picked you out.
down a scary path. But I would say reach out to your parents, reach out to your friends. Maybe, if you really think you are struggling, get a therapist, talk to them, say, hey, these are the traits and tendencies that I have. Do you think that maybe this could lead to something?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an overnight fix.
Mm-mm.
It's not an overnight answer. It takes time. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of like soul searching and like finding the right person that you work with. Like, therapists aren't even, like, you have to find the right therapist as well. But I would say really do your research, reach out and ask questions. I mean, it doesn't do any harm to ask someone, hey, do you think I might have this XYZ?
What would you tell someone who is scared of the stigma of it, is scared to actually be diagnosed with bipolar disorder or borderline because they don't want to be? Mm-hmm. What do you recommend or tell them to take that first step?
For me, it is such a relief. It was such a relief when I found out that I had borderline and when I had bipolar, because it like almost makes me who I am today. And when I found out I had borderline, it was like, okay, everything fits. It makes sense now. Like, I'm not this lost girl, empty.
And you didn't feel crazy anymore. No, you're like, this
crazy.
is who I am.
Yes, I was like, okay, like, I actually have like a chemical imbalance in my brain that's causing me to feel like this. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would say. I would say, own it. Make it you and make it how you better yourself and how you can better others that you come in contact and how you can impact them. Mm-hmm.
It's a great starting point that you're talking and you're kind of spreading awareness, because there's such stigmas behind bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. If you would have told me, like, when I think of someone who has borderline personality disorder in general, I feel like people are like, oh my god, like.
Well, it's terrible. The movies, the songs, the media, everything makes it seem like
it's a crazy person.
It's a crazy person.
Right.
And it's just not true. Now I'm like, okay, what can I do now to combine the two in my life, accept that I have it, accept that I'm going to live with this, yes, the rest of my life, but how can I be the best person and I can be in relationships, in life, with my mom, like with everyone,
and
like
with yourself in
general. With myself in general.
So let's talk about the stigma behind it.
Yeah.
I know that I hear all the time, like, oh, they're really bipolar. Like, people don't even know really what that term means, but they just throw it out there.
Right.
And
or like the weather is so bipolar.
Exactly.
So like, what is it doing? It's 50 degrees.
Yeah. So what does that phrase mean to you? Like, do you like it, dislike it?
Yeah. No, I hate it. Makes me feel
kind of uncomfortable.
And like I can't open up to them. So if you were to say something to me like, hey, this weather's like so bipolar, like, oh my gosh, she's so bipolar, or she's psycho, like whatever.
And you'd be like, I don't think that person would accept me or understand.
Yeah, at least not right away.
Right.
I mean, you have to be careful when you throw those words out there, because you never know who's in the room that struggles with whatever you're talking about.
Like, looking at you, you would just think you're a really pretty blonde-haired girl, like, probably has her life together.
Yeah.
And then deep down you're like,
I don't, but
well, that's what you would look like to someone. So it is really important to watch your words, because you never ever know who's in the room with you.
You don't. You really don't.
Yeah.
And you never know what they're struggling with. Mm-hmm. So many people think I have it all together, and I do for the most part. I really, really do.
You've come a long way.
But I struggle a lot, and I'm still struggling with continuing forward. Like, I'm doing it, obviously, but like, and I want that to be my message. Like, that is why I'm here talking to you, because I want people to know that like it's possible to have these mental illnesses and to move forward and move on and get support and get the right medication and find the right doctor and have a great fulfilling life, because that's what I'm doing right now. Everyone is different, and I wish there was a cure. I wish there was a magic pill you could take. I would give it to every single one of you guys. I wish there was a recipe for how you cope in an episode, or you're really
each day is different.
Each day is different. Each episode is different. Each person's episode is different. It's not black and white, but it doesn't define who I am. I am not bipolar disorder.
You're not. Yeah.
I am not borderline personality disorder. I have bipolar disorder. I have borderline personality disorder, but that's not who I am.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. So if you guys like this video, please like it. Please consider sharing, because this could really help someone in need. And be sure to subscribe to TAYtalks to see more content as it comes out. Bye!